Hey, if you got this part of the video, you've caught the live, unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks Thursday night. It's 8 p.m. Well, it's July 18th, and it's 8 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. If you've joined us any other time than that or another time zone, it's okay. You're on the recorded channel. You've got the recorded instance of it. We will get started here in just a second. If you want to just hang tight, we'll get there. For those of you who are joining us live, I see John. John, welcome to the program. Good to see you. Glad you could join us tonight. I know you and Tony are probably already going out at it out there, so good to see you guys. And I saw TJ jumping in, the other part of Home Tech, and TJ threw something in our in the Discord. He was like, Gavin didn't even tell me, and I'm like, well, maybe it's time to have you on, TJ. So TJ, we'll chat over the next week or so and get you back on here. It'd be good to have you on there. Jim Shoemaker is checking in, and he says, we have a Midwest. He says, hey, are the OneDrive servers down for you guys too? I got a note from work that the whole Midwest region for Microsoft is down at the moment, and like down. So if you are some of the Microsoft services we use, I think, Brian, good to see you. Thanks for checking in. Tony's saying, who's this John that you speak of? So Ken's checking in. Good to see you. John saying it's looking good. Looks good. So good to have you out. So if you have services on I don't know what state they have them in. It's just the Midwest region is down. It's down at the moment. So I'm sure they'll pull them back up. But that is going on. So if you are listening live, checking in the chat room, many of you are. Good to see you guys out here tonight. We'll get started here in just a second. Gavin, you drinking anything? You got some Soda Stream stuff going on? Or what do you,
no, I kind of eased off the Soda Stream now.
Okay.
So a little backstory. I'm drinking some water with a little meal in it. And I can thank you. I can thank you for that, I guess.
Really?
Listening to the shows and everything like that, your talks and stuff, non-technical stuff. So then I decided to, I kicked the meal. I've been drinking water like straight for the last 2-3 months.
Good.
And coffee. Sorry, I can't leave the
coffee's fine. Yeah,
that's my morning thing. But just straight water.
Good for you.
You kind of nudged me, I was listening to your podcast. You said something. I was like, all right, fine, no more Pepsi. So I have like a fridge full of Pepsi.
Well, I mean, use it up slowly. It'll last a while, but don't totally. Sometimes it's hard. I mean, listen, if you've gone cold turkey and it's working, stay.
It's working.
Stay with it. Pour it out on the lawn. Make a puddle.
It's for the visitors.
Okay, there you go.
For them.
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't tempt you at all. It's sitting there. You're not tempted by.
I have one can of Coke in the fridge, and every time I open the fridge, I see it, and I just like nope, because if I drink it, the wife will know, and then it's too much work to go buy a replacement can to put it there back so I can drink that one, and hide it from her. So
good for you. You feel better? Have you noticed anything?
Yeah, this is a tech show, but there's a whole you do feel a lot of different things. Like you lost, like I didn't change any of my eating or anything like that, but like clothes are starting to get looser and stuff like that. Certain things, your skin smoother, things like that. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. The soft drinks are rough. They're rough.
They taste so good though.
Oh, they're so good. It's like crack.
Exactly.
Crack. Yes, listen, yes, it's a tech show, but we've been doing this such a long time. It's a community show is what it is. We just happen to talk about tech. And then because I have the platform, I use it to talk about men. And I guess if women ask, I'm not sure I've always said if there's any women listening, like send me an email. I never have gotten one. So I'm pretty sure it's 100% guys.
Yeah.
So when we talk about men's health, it's important. And listen, birds of a feather flock together. We are all in our, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Right? I'm sure maybe 70s for some. And it's time, it is never too early or too late to think about, hey, should I be taking care of myself, right? Type deal or whatever that means. Like everybody's got to kind of come to their own thing. Joe's checking in. Joe, welcome. Yeah.
And just take baby steps. Just take
Yeah.
baby steps. Like, you could switch to water today, and tomorrow you take something else out of your diet. Don't
Yeah.
don't go everything at once, because then you'll quit.
Yeah, it's get to well, unless your personality's set that way. There are some folks who can just go cold turkey on everything, and it just works. For a lot of folks, that doesn't. A buddy of mine that I've been working out with, he's been reading the book Atomic Habits, and I think sometimes we think when we hear that title, we think about like big habits changing, giant. No, it's actually really small. The whole idea is making small little changes over
Changes.
time,
Yeah.
right? And I too have gotten to a spot where my weight is not okay. So there's been a lot of things going on in my life, right? And I've ignored the weight side of things, but now all those things for the most part are taken care of. I mean, we're getting close. And I'm like, okay, it's time to start tackling the weight. And so I started weighing in on a daily basis, doing nothing with it. Just I want to get 3 or 4 weeks of data and just kind of say, okay, here's where I'm at. um Here's where I'm at with my weight. And then as the fall comes on, start making some little micro
Yeah.
changes to start bring things down. Yet Tony says you can never be too early, but it can surely be too late. But if it's too late, still do it.
Yeah.
You
No
got
matter what, just do it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Brian says that's a great book. Atomic Habits is what I was
I
mentioning
just
there. That's a
bookmarked
good
it.
one. Yeah. Joe says, yep, Microsoft's reporting a 360 outage. That is true.
I'm surprised work isn't calling me right now, but that's
Uh,
okay.
Yep. And then Tony says I had to hear it from my son today when he was trying to download files from OneDrive. I had a great luck with it in general. Yeah, it's just they have a Midwest outage. Ken is drinking a Sam at Am's Oktoberfest. Dude, it's either really early or very late on an Oktoberfest. So it's good on you. Hopefully those are the new hopefully it doesn't matter, but Ken, I'm assuming those are the early out Oktoberfest. Of course, that happens in September in Germany every year, and Oktoberfest beers available throughout the fall. So thanks for sharing. I wasn't feeling well, so I made an old fashioned, and it's a good one. I'm just gonna say I'm feeling good now. So Gavin, thanks for
Making you feel bad.
Oh, Ken says no. Saying that's when you start your diet changes. Hello. Yeah. All right, we got a lot to talk about. So let's get this thing rolling. Gavin, you know the deal. So
Yeah.
let me do this thing. Is that right? Okay. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 615 with Gavin Campbell, recorded on July 18th, 2024. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. We had a lot of rain. We had a lot of heat. Now it's a wonderful 80 degrees. And Gavin, are you guys experiencing some better weather? We've gotten it for sure. How are things on your end?
We got this week we got hammered with rain. I
Okay.
think remnants of
Oh yeah.
Hurricane Beryl.
Yep.
It finally hit us. So like this week, our highways got flooded.
Oh.
People's houses, my neighbor's house got flooded, so I was down there with
Oh.
the vacuum out
Oh
while he
man.
was brushing it off the pool deck. Like we got it was
You got a lot.
yeah, it was like what was it, 90? Some people recorded like 99 millimeters in like a short period of time,
Okay.
and that adds up pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes all at once too.
Yes.
We had a couple weeks ago, we had a 5-inch day. And I don't know if I remember a 5-inch day. That's for everybody, that's about this big.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in millimeters. I'm getting good with Fahrenheit to Celsius and Celsius to Fahrenheit. I'm getting good at that. I need to figure out my inches to millimeter thing. I'm sure there's a calculation. Somebody will throw in chat.
Looking it up now. 99 is 3.89 inches.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty
there you
good.
go.
Yeah, 4 inches, let's say. Yeah, we had a lot of flooding too with that. Well, hopefully everyone is safe from all the storms coming through. The hurricane came through, and hopefully everybody's safe. Of course, we'll post a show with some world-class show notes. If you haven't checked out the show notes in a while, I've been using a lot of AI to make them better. And so even Rich Hay noticed when Rich was on the other day, he sent out a little tweet. He was like, wow, you got to check out Jim's show notes. So they're fairly detailed and they're not bad. AI does a nice job of getting it done. I think I use Otter for the transcriptions, and then we use OpenAI for some of the other things. Check it out. This one will be theaverageguy.tv/HGG615. And check out those show notes to get in. And big thanks to our Patreon subscribers, of course, each and every month. And by the way, thanks for a few of you have been using the Amazon link on the website. If you go to theaverageguy.tv, you'll see a disclaimer on the very front of the page over on the top right that says this site may have, this is an Amazon associate, or as an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. If you actually just click on the link, that sets the cookie and we benefit from it. So I haven't been doing a great job of filling in the links with Amazon links, but if you're going to buy from Amazon, head out to theaverageguy.tv, click through on that, and that helps. Appreciate you guys doing that as well. But big thanks to our Patreon subscribers, 1 month or any number of months. Check it out, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. And then big thanks to Jay Madison, who joined us last week. That's always a fun interview, but it's always great to have Gavin back. Gavin, welcome back to Home Gadget Geeks.
Thank you. I got the invite and I was like, yes, it's about time.
I mean,
yes.
we had the other boys on from Home Tech. What's going on over there, Home Tech FM? What are you guys talking about?
Lots going on the show. We had an interview with Agnes from Zoos recently where we talked about all the latest Z-Wave products in the smart home. Honestly, that was a great interview. I'm a fan of their products. I have a lot of their products in my house. So, if you are interested in Z-Wave or, a good Z-Wave product, check out that interview and check out Zoos. We have a few more interviews coming soon. Some recorded and I think some lined up. TJ does all the bookings. He's become the booking manager. Good. So, good. We got some stuff lined up coming down the pipe. And in terms of projects, like TJ's been killing it. New house, lots of projects, so he's been reporting on all he's been buying all the toys. My house is settled now with the automation. It's hard to add anything new. I'll go extreme if I have to, but he's got all the new the basic new stuff coming in, so you get a lot of TJ's reviews, and they're not always good reviews. He's honest about it. I'm just warning you.
Well, he buys it himself, right? It's not sponsored stuff in most cases, right? Or
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Very little we actually get from sponsorships. We don't ask for that because, again, we want to stay very honest with our reviews.
Yeah.
And we buy a lot of the stuff.
Well, it's a good reminder to have TJ back on to catch up with him. We spent some time talking with him. Of course, we had all the guys on a couple months ago. Before that, TJ was on and was in the middle of building a lot of that, and we'll catch up with him again. So TJ, watch your email in the next day or two, and we'll get you signed up to get in here and catch us up. Gavin, it's been Amazon Prime week. For anyone who, I think that's a global thing for anybody who has an Amazon store. I have to admit, and I know you picked up some cool things. I have to admit, I loaded up my cart with some wish list stuff, and so that you could easily then just go to the cart, refresh it, and see if anything had changed. There had been, this is the first year, maybe a little bit last year when this went on, of folks claiming that Amazon raises prices the week or two before this and then magically slashes them back to what the normal retail is. Do you get a sense that there's some of those shenanigans going on the Amazon store or not?
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they did that. I personally, I follow a lot of the prices for things I want with Camel, and sometimes before I buy it, I check the price, or because I know the price fluctuates a lot, and there's sometimes it's like half the price just on a random day, and I get a notification. I'm like, that's what I was waiting for, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. People have been reporting it, but as long as you keep yourself informed, know how much you want to pay for something and the average price of it, and then when it does go on sale, if it's a sale or not.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Camel. Honey is another, and I think they're owned by PayPal now. So Honey is another site you can go to or sign up for. I think Slick Deals has one of those, and now there's a in Bing, not in Bing, in Edge. They have a price tracker that's available. They'll go in if you're finding something, it'll say, "Hey, here's a price tracker." I for some reason, I was looking at solar generators. I have one. I'm not sure I need another one, but I was looking at one, and BLUETTI were running 40 or 50% off some of their prices, and I got right to the point. It was in the cart, ready to go, and then I said to myself, "Seriously, how are you going to use this?"
Yeah.
Right? I
Yes.
was like, "Well, maybe I could plug it in as another backup," and it was actually one of their really small handheld, something I could take with me somewhere, that of places I never go and things I never do. And I was like, yeah, no. So I didn't do it. You did though. What'd you pick up? What'd you pick up during these Prime days? Some
I
cool stuff.
use yeah. Last Prime Day, I actually didn't really see many things, but this Prime Day we had some really good sales, and I had it in my cart, and I was ready to go. And I stocked up on the usual batteries. I needed a lot of batteries and stuff, so I stocked up on my batteries. I grabbed a backup hard drive for my Unraid server. It was a good time. It was on sale, and I always like to have a backup hard drive in case one dies. I could swap it in quickly, and then get the warranty and stuff all taken care of. I got another label maker, a Nimbot. Like I fell for advertising with the Nimbot label maker. I saw the ad, I clicked on it. I
Mm,
was like, yeah, that's cool. But the thing's only like $25 Canadian. You have to buy their labels, but I like it. I've been
mhm.
using it and labeling things, so I'm not going to complain about it. But my biggest purchase was probably influenced again by you. Um, was the meter block, right? Like I
Yes.
I
Yes. That's not just the meter block. Like it's the four. It's got
the
four of the probes.
yeah,
Beautiful.
I went
Yeah.
all out for it. It was on my Christmas list. I have to admit, it was on my Christmas list. But when it went on half sale at Prime Day, I couldn't resist. I took
Yeah.
it off the list and I bought it.
Yeah.
And I know TJ got. I recommended it to him. He got one. He loves it. I
Nice.
had the original
Nice.
one, a
Yeah.
single probe,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it doesn't have the repeater in the block or anything, but I had the
Oh,
range issues. But
yeah.
I love that thing. I
Yeah.
loved it. It made cooking so much easier. So I decided to go all out and just get the four pack,
Yeah.
and the block with the extender and everything.
Good. Yeah. Good. No, it's a good if you're doing a lot of grilling or smoking or any of those kinds of things, having the extra ones is
Yep.
helpful. There's some moments that's one I should have looked on my list. Maybe after the show. Some of them are still lingering on sale. So maybe after the show, I have to look at the
Get you spend
meter,
some money,
or
you
maybe
know.
you'll be talking during the show and I'll be looking for the
With the meter too, we always talk about barbecuing with them, but with the wife, I tell her, I'm like, when you're doing something in the oven, you can use it in your oven too. Like it's not just for barbecues.
correct. Correct.
Use it in the
Yeah.
oven, help to cook, and then we don't have to keep cutting into that chicken to see if it's done. The meter
Yeah.
actually, it really works really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check on that. Those are good. I do have the repeater. I have the single one and the repeater, and it
Yeah.
works well. Like for smoking. We do a pork shoulder, pork butt. By the way, Mark Robson will be on next week, so we'll have some more. We're not TJ or Gavin and I are not going to spend too much time talking about grilling here. So, but because Mark will be on next week, but it is handy, like, to put that thing in and just have some idea. And then I actually have it so the probe is in, and then the repeater sits on the outside on the far end of the grill, and then I have it come down. I have a dedicated a tablet that then brings it's the Bluetooth piece for it, then broadcasts that out to the internet so I can log in from anywhere on my phone or whatever. And man, that is slick. That
It,
is
wa-
just,
it
yeah.
it's when I have the original, I had it hooked up to Home Assistant, right? And I had an automation that when it was time to take it off the barbecue, announce it over the speakers, right, throughout the house. So I would not miss that. Right.
Yeah,
So like you
yeah,
could tie it into Home Assistant through a Bluetooth dongle or something like that. It's really
yeah.
a
Yeah,
worthwhile investment.
I did. We talked about this on one of the shows, and so I eventually did get it into Home Assistant, so it's working there. Although I find it more helpful actually on the app.
Yeah.
So Meter has a really good app, both Android and iPhone, does exactly what you're thinking. Lately, they've loaded up a bunch of recipes in there, so you can go in there and check those out and whatever you're doing there. But it's a really good, Gavin, really good purchase. Some comments from chat. Brian says he spent more this year with Amazon Prime days than usual. Very common. Jim Shoemaker, who had to take off, Jim, thanks for coming out tonight, said you can never have too many solar generators. I bought an EcoFlow River 2 Pro on Prime Day prices. And I did, Gavin, I did notice that like the solar generator space has gotten crowded
Yes.
and the prices are dropping. I want to stay. I'm a BLUETTI guy, and I want to stay in the BLUETTI family because I don't want 1,000. I already have 1,000 amps for all my home automation stuff, right? I kind of want to stay with one. The generator I was looking at was this their tiniest 100. It's normally $300. They have it going for $150 right now. I thought this would be a nice take it along backup battery kind of. It's still 150. I might buy it before the show's over. So this area now the panels weren't on sale, but the batteries were. So maybe if you're looking, this may be a good time. This fall may be a good time.
You know what's
Um,
gotten very popular up here is Generac. They
oh
have
yeah,
ads constantly on our TV now, and people asking me, "Should I get a Generac?" And like I'm like, "Where'd you hear about that?"
yeah.
It seems to be with the storms that we get these days.
Mhm.
Things, it's becoming something I'm thinking about too.
Would you go whole home and try to? And would you build it in so it's a switch over in
Yes,
your? You would do it.
yeah,
You would do the full.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd go with the natural gas one, right? Because
Yeah.
then that's running as well. The battery one, I don't know how long the battery will last. You don't never know how long the outage will be, right? So I just go with it tied in, and then I can, maybe share it with my neighbor so it powers, the essentials in both our houses.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Go
split
in
the
with your
cost.
neighbor. Although you never know how long you're going to be friends with your neighbor, so you got to be careful. I
Yeah.
do. I have a, I have a, a quiet. It's a big generator. I think 6,500 watts.
Yep.
And it'll run most of the things in my house. It's got a 240. So in theory, I could run both the air conditioner and the stove if I needed to. It's not wired up to do that. And that's not really, our outages in Nebraska are a day or two or three at most every 10 or 15 years. That's just been kind of the
Okay.
pattern. And then maybe a 24-hour every 3 years. So to put too much into the backup infrastructure, you kind of go, oh, I don't know if I need to. I bought this generator, which now guarantees I'll never have a power outage
Yeah.
again. you know,
That's
but
that's the thing too. For me, I think in the last 10 years, I've probably had maybe a 2-hour outage,
yeah,
right? At,
yeah,
at most. So
yeah, yeah.
it's not been an issue for me, but you also don't want it to happen and you don't have it where
No,
you could
right
be
on,
out for a few
right
days
on.
too, right? You never
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's why I bought the kind of the portable generator, a bigger portable generator. You can get those smaller Honda ones that are super quiet. They're about $1,000. They're pretty expensive. They're super quiet, and they'll run they'll run your fridge and fans and back up your phone and a TV. And I mean, to be honest, a flat screen uses no energy these days, right?
Yeah.
So you can run a ton of stuff off it, your computer probably even. But I wanted something that was a little more powerful than that. Right before the pandemic, I bought this backup generator. It was on sale for like $7.99. I think I paid for it. And the last time we did use it, I asked my neighbors. I went out there and said, "Hey, bring me a cord, and I keep your fridge running." And they did, and it worked out well. And I got $50 gift cards from them for,
Bonus.
you're like, "Oh, this is nice. This is kind
You're
of
the
cool."
hero.
We listen, we all win, and I lose my mind when the fridge, like the fridge things, losing food.
That hurts.
I lose my mind. I don't know what it is, but I can't. Wasting food kind of drives me crazy. So you might want to try. I mean, start in that mid range with just having it as a backup, run some extension cords. If it's not happening very often, that might
Yeah,
get you through. Generacs, like those are expensive. Those are like $6,000 to $10,000 plus the install.
and that's US money. I
That's
know,
you. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
my neighbor, he has two. He has the bigger one like you, and he also has that Honda one you mentioned, right? So
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
that's kind of why I haven't jumped on it, because I'm like, if anything were to happen, we have the barbecue that uses no energy. We
yeah,
have
yeah,
he has
yeah,
his generators.
yep.
Turn on the fireplace, doesn't use electricity.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
turn that on to stay warm. So
Yeah,
we're in good shape.
yeah. Well, it's worth considering, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a good. I think it's a mental exercise. I keep wanting to go put solar panels on the roof. I have a roof that's southern facing exposure, no trees in the way. It would be great for solar panels. Every time I price them out and then I do the math,
You
based
can't
on the
justify it.
no, based on the price of electricity in Nebraska, we're cheap here.
Yep.
It's funny. They raised prices and it's still not worth it, right? And so I have a problem. I'm like, oh, because I would love to do that, put a battery wall in my garage.
Yeah.
Then things are backed up to the battery wall or whatever, and I couldn't do it. Brian says he picked up a hub, a dock, a Raspberry Pi. I'm glad those are available again. Those were sold
Oh
out for the
yes.
longest time. And some other odds and ends. I did buy a sail. That's not the right term for it, but I bought a shade for the deck in the evenings. We get this low sun that comes right in our eyes. So I bought this shade that I'm going to rig up so that we can block the sun on afternoons when that's coming in. Then TJ says, I think at this point I could go for a small indoor battery backup instead of a generator. Yes, TJ, that I have the BLUETTI 180 AC 180, and that's a super powerful. They're like $800 US. Is TJ in
He's in Ohio.
he's in Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
So 800 ish. I think during Prime days they were 490 or 549. Still might be there. If you check
Good
it out,
price.
the 180 is pretty good. I've run a ton of stuff off of it, so you might want to think about that as well. And then Joe says, were pies cheap on Prime Day?
I didn't check, but I would have grabbed one if they were.
Brian dropped the price in the chat, so Joe will know. Tony's asking, could my generator charge John's car? Yes, absolutely. And you could even probably put it in the trunk, run it, and then just plug it in around the trunk, and he'd have unlimited range.
I keep the trunk open though.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't think about the exhaust coming out. So you guys can continue if you found any Prime deals, throw them in there. I think we're going to continue to see some deals out there. So if you're looking for some stuff, Gavin, you said, and I like this strategy as well. I have found just putting stuff in your cart and then moving them to the I should know what that's called. There's an area in your cart. Hold on. Let me go to the cart. And then if you move them to save for later, there it is. If you move them
Oh,
to save for later, and then when you log in each time, it'll tell you if the price has changed. And it's
yes.
just kind of an easy way for things. You're kind of tracking that way. Any other thoughts on Prime Day, Kevin?
No, it's just a good day to stock up on a lot of, things,
Did you get a hard drive? Did you mention that? Did you say that?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
get a hard
yeah.
drive for your Unraid
Because
server?
my Unraid server, I have 3 8 terabyte drives in there, but I always like to keep one on standby in case, because a drive has died on me and I just swap it out and then go through the warranty with it, right? I did, it was on a good price, so I grabbed another one. Hopefully somebody doesn't switch it out this time. Last time I ordered a hard drive from Western Digital, somebody swapped out the 8 terabyte and put in like a 1 terabyte.
Really?
Yeah, and it came
Oh,
straight from Western Digital. So someone at Western Digital, because it wasn't the mailman, because the mail wasn't opened. It was the hard drive in the box before it got shipped.
wow.
So I'm hoping
Wow.
that somebody at Western Digital does not do that again to me.
Did they replace it?
I I just went back on Amazon and I said, I said I got the wrong drive. Someone swapped it out before shipping. I sent pictures and everything, and they were like, "Okay, refund." They didn't
Yeah.
even offer to send me another one. They just said refund.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. No, they expect you to just go buy whatever you're going to buy. This idea on Amazon of swapping, they're like, no, that's too much work.
"Yeah,
Just we'll accept the return, and then you're going to do whatever you're going to do on the other side of the
it's
purchase.
hassle on my end though, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
a problem with your shipping, right?" So
yeah,
I wasn't happy
yeah.
about that.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah,
Listen, those and USB drives are. Be careful about where and how you are buying your USB drives. Now, I don't know. Are you even using USB drives anymore? Is there a need to have one except to be the OS for Unraid? Is there any reason to have a USB drive anymore? Do you think?
actually, I have a stack of them. A lot of times it's
Yeah,
like
we
when
all
I'm
do.
passing things back and forth with my neighbors, it's like they want me to convert
Mm,
some files,
mm,
so they'll send me the USB drive with the files and I'll
okay.
convert it for them.
Yeah.
So you always have to have one on hand to do at work. I got to do testing sometimes with USB drives,
Yeah.
so I make sure I have at least 3 or 4 in case, because I've had them die too, right?
Yep.
And you
Yep.
always
Yep.
lose them. You lend them to somebody, you never
They're
get them
cheap.
back.
They're
Yeah,
cheap. Buy them
and
in a
they're
4-pack.
yep, yep.
Right, buy them in a 4-pack. Windows recovery, that's another, like, right behind me, I should have turned it on, but right behind me up here on the video is my Surface 3. Super old, like, I think it's 10 years old. Had been running 10. I put it in the Windows 11 Insider program because it didn't meet the specs for Windows 11. By the way, I didn't know I was gonna do this, it just kinda happened out, and then it died for some reason. So it blue screen and it wouldn't recover. So downloaded the Windows 11 ISO, installed it, came back with a full version of Windows 11. Shouldn't to be from the specs, it should not have worked. And maybe because in the restore thing on your Microsoft account, it said it had Windows 11 at some point.
Yeah.
So it lets me have Windows 11. I got a BitLocker notice. I think the drive's going bad on it. I've taken it out of it had been my home automation dashboard,
Okay.
think right. It's touch, works great for that, right? I've since gone to a touch laptop that is a little newer, and we'll see how much longer this lasts. I think that drive's going bad. But I had to restore it from a USB drive. So that may be another, reason to have one around. How many do you think you have? Like just laying around?
I can see 4 of them, and I also
Okay.
have a small stack of the compact flashcards.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
it's amazing. You never think of them, but I had a camera and I wanted to put some onboard space in there, and I was like, yes, I have a thing here. Or when you buy your Raspberry Pi,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bought 2 Pis recently, and I had to have the flashcard, so I stuck them in there.
Yeah. Chat, for those listening live, how many USB drives do you think you have on hand? I'm gonna say I've thrown some out. Do you like how do you destroy those things before you get rid of them? Like, what's the right thing to do with that? Do you
Well,
think?
I don't put nothing on
Yeah,
them. I think is
yeah,
really important
yeah.
anyway. So
Personal data.
I've taken my hard drives and drilled them and stuff like that
Yeah.
because I've had personal data. But my flash drives is nothing important ever.
Okay. I maybe just take a hammer to it. Like I'd put it in an envelope or a plastic bag so that the parts don't fly all over the place. And then just give it a good
Yeah,
hammer, give it a good smackaroo. Although I may have some 1 gig drives still laying around that just because you don't get rid of that stuff,
no,
right?
no.
It just sits around. So chat room, tell me we got left. Brian says he has at least a couple dozen. If we do, I think we have more than we think on those. And I would think, don't you think like 4 gig is the minimum to kind of keep and if you had a 1 gig or a 2 gig or 512 meg, you'd get rid of it, right?
Yeah, even
Yeah.
4 gig I get rid of. It's got to be a little
Yeah.
bigger now.
Yeah. Tony says I just keep them. A shelf of them down to 40 gig. Yeah, it's it's one of those kinds of things. I have been thinking about cleansing some tech, and that's probably one of those things I need to go through. You know what I have trouble getting rid of? I mean, besides everything, is power cords. I don't. How many power cords do you think you have extra?
I have, I have a whole bin in the basement. It's labeled power cords. So, and I actually did go through them the other day, and I kept what I did is I measured them. Look at the lengths because you never know what length you'll
Yeah,
need,
yeah,
right? So I kept like two of each length,
yeah,
and I threw all the others out, and I still have a bin. So there's a lot down there still.
yeah. Yeah, Joe says he keeps he keeps some. They're still necessary for BIOS updates, and that is true. So they're handy for that. Like I said, they make a good OS drive for Unraid. And they don't need to be very big for Unraid. I mean,
No, yeah,
a
they can be
gig
small.
would get you there, I think. I did 4. Is
Yeah.
it bigger than that now?
I think I have a 16 gig, I think, in
Okay.
there on my
Okay.
Unraid because the logs can fill up. You never know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
put the logs. Let me see what I think you're right. Let me see what I have on my 4 gig. I have a 4 gig, and
Yep.
it's 486 megs are used, 3.56 gigs available. So
You're good. You're
yeah,
good.
4 gigs probably
My
too big.
Unraid server is a little busier than yours.
Probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably true. John Big says he has a whole bin in the basement of power
Yep.
cords too. That's super common.
Yep.
Super common. And then Joe says he finally chucked all the white power cords in his why Joe, why the white ones? What was, because they come in white, gray, and black, right? And so
I only have black power cords. I didn't have white ones. So
yeah, well, I have a bunch of gray ones that are round and super thick. I don't know where they came from. They may have been old monitor. Like, remember when you'd
yes,
have the big monitors that were tubes, and they they took those things drew some power.
I have a
Oh,
bin of VGA cables down there too. I have a
oh
problem
yeah,
just throwing, and I
yeah,
was gonna throw them
yeah.
out, and then I had a need for one because I
I
needed a
know.
VGA cable to plug my server into the monitor, and I
Yeah.
was like, yes, that's what that was there for. Like the heavens opened up and everything like that. I was like, and I took it upstairs and I showed the wife and I said, see, this came in handy, and then I plugged everything in.
Joe says they're white because they're from the 90s. And okay, I don't know if I have a white one. I have black ones.
Well,
I have
yeah.
gray ones, but I don't know if I have any white power strips. And then Brian says besides power, all the various USB sizes too. So
That I still need because I have old devices that need the square USB one or USB A, and that
oh
gets
yeah.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have an old device, you may need the one that's a square, but it's got the extra lip, like the
Or just the
old.
square alone, or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I have every
yeah,
USB cable too.
yeah. I wonder, just kind of wonder, just for the audience listening to this show, how many cables we have between us. Like, I wonder how many dumpsters we could fill up with just cables that we have between us. Well, listen, it's good. I do need to, as I'm thinking about this idea, it's probably time for a cleanse. I think I have like old spacers from PCs, when you would put
Yeah,
a DVD drive, you'd pop that thing
the
out. I think
five and a quarters. Yeah.
why am I keeping those? That PC was gone 1,000 years ago. So, anyways, maybe it's time to cleanse. You started the show by saying, you've done some health improvements because of things I've talked about on the show. Maybe we could do some clutter improvements too by throwing some hey, this is interesting. Yeah. Brian says or how long the string of cables would reach from
Coast to
coast to
coast.
coast. Yeah, you kind of wonder just how many we have between us all. Well, we'll never know. Gavin, my second son, my number 2, I call him, John is his name. He ordered a 3D printer. Kind of one day I just was talking to him and he's like,
Nice.
"Hey, I'm getting a printer." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well," he goes, "I want to print." He plays Warhammer, and
Yep.
he wants to print his own parts for it. And so he picked one up and has been kind of teaching himself how to use that and getting, getting plans for it. And I think that's a great use for 3D printers. You had told me you picked one up as well. You've been doing a lot more with it. What'd you get and how are you using it?
Well, first of all, what do you know what model printer he got?
No, I should
Oh.
know. He told me. I didn't listen. I'm pretty sure I didn't listen.
So yeah, recently I last year I grabbed the Prusa MK3S Plus. I got it used off of Marketplace, and I just wanted to see what this 3D printing was all about, right? So I got the bug at that point, and I've been messing around with it since, and then it reached a point where I was like, I want to upgrade. And Prusa came out with their MK4 model, and I jumped all in on that. I saved a little bit of money. I went all out with it because I was like, if I'm going to get this, I want all the bells and whistles, because it solved a lot of issues or a lot of pain points in the older models, right? So when I got the MK4, I've been playing with it. So I got it, I think in February it finally arrived.
Did you upgrade your 3 or did you buy a new 4?
I bought a whole new 4, and my thought
Okay.
process was, because the upgrade price was so little, that I could actually get more money if I sold the old one.
Okay.
Right. So the key point is here, I still have to seal the old one. So I have 2 printers now at this point still. Right. But the 4 is a beautiful printer. I haven't had it do a bad print yet. Right. We're on the
Really?
old printer, you were constantly tweaking it and fighting with it to get a printout. This one hasn't failed me yet. I went all out. So I got the MK4, I got the enclosure with it. I got what they call the multi-material unit, MMU3, which was just released as well too. So you could do multicolor prints or you can do multi-material prints. And once I got all that set up, then I started working on the whole, the presentation, the storage of it, the layout, and how, so it can make it all compact. And I added on what did he call it? The unoriginal Prusa dry box on top, and that kind of holds all the filaments in there, all 5 filaments, and keeps them dry and everything like that, and feeds it down into the printer. And it's an amazing printer. Like, it prints so fast. It's probably twice the speed as the previous printer. But one of the things with the previous printer that was always a pain point is you always had to do a Z offset. So basically, you always had to adjust how, I guess, high the print head was against above the plate, right? And that was always a difficult part, because if you didn't get it right, your prints would be messed up. If it was too high, too low, you had to get it perfect, right? It was just a hassle. I found this printer automatically does all that for you, and just that alone is worth the upgrade. And I advise anybody, just spend the money, get the good printer. It solves like so many of the pain points of the cheaper printers that it's worth the investment, and it makes your printing experience that much better.
The standard version I'm showing on screen here is showing about 1,100 US. Do you think if you add all the components, does that add double the price to it? So are we looking maybe 2,000, or is it maybe like 1,500? Just from a guess standpoint, what do you think?
I'm just afraid to say the price in case my wife happens to listen to this episode at this point, right? Like, I don't know if we should include this in the show, but but it's, and when you said 1,100, that's US dollars, so it's closer.
No, I got it. I'm
like, after everything, it's probably 3,000 to 4,000 Canadian.
Okay.
Plus, it came from, I think, is it coming from the Czech? It's somewhere over there that they shipped it from. So then I had to pay import duties and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
So it costs quite a bit. But Prusa recently announced they're going to start manufacturing them in the US. Their filament and their printers, so it's going to make it a lot easier to get, a lot cheaper for everybody.
Okay.
So that's a good sign. But it was worth it. Like, not one day goes by that I'm like, I spent too much money on this. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Did you sell the other one, or do you still have it?
No, I still have the one. and you're laughing, but I'll give you something else to laugh about. Like, so I have, well, you could probably see the other one sitting behind me in the office. It's behind my head there. That's the old one in the background there, right? Okay. And for the first like 3 months, it was sitting in the basement. the old one. It was in its own little enclosure in the
Mhm.
basement, and then I had the new one up here. She did not realize, the wife did not realize I had a new printer. She just
Oh,
thought I took the basement one and put it in my
yeah,
office.
yeah, yeah.
And I left it like that. I'm like, okay, great. She only thinks I have one, right? So then I brought the old one and I put it in my office too. So I had two. And she walked in the
Mm.
office and she still doesn't realize. She thought I took it out of the enclosure and put it up there. So I'm like, I'm just rolling with it. I'm trying to wait to see the day she realizes I actually have two sitting here and then forces me to sell it.
Oh, thank God she doesn't listen to the show, because if
I
she
know,
did,
I
she'd be the
know,
only woman
I
ever.
know. I think we would have lost her early in the show. So don't worry. Even if she did tune in, I think she would have tuned out
Hey,
really early.
that's a good idea. I'll preload the front of the show to be
Yeah.
just drop the CFOs so they don't. So you have both. Are you using both for various reasons, or
No, I find I use the new one so much more.
okay,
First of all, it's almost twice as fast,
okay,
and it's also much quieter.
yeah,
So I just let it run throughout the night. It doesn't bother anybody.
yeah,
Or quick prints, it gets through it really fast. And then the old one, it's like then I gotta go level it, and
yeah,
it's
okay,
loud. So I have a
yeah.
coworker that's interested.
Okay. All right. So it may find its way out into
Yeah.
the house. What do you find? What are you printing? What's the most helpful thing for you while you're printing?
What type of things I'm printing?
Yeah, what
Like
the type, the
I
actual
do a
art.
lot of functional printing, so things that I want. So everybody, like in my, similar to me, the first thing you print are like hooks for the garage or something like that. Like you find like your mindset is very different. Like I have like the pool equipment, the hooks up for the pool equipment. They break like every year because they want you to go and buy new ones every year. So I went on and I designed a new one, and I took a design, I adjusted it, thickened it up, made it a lot stronger, and then I printed out the new ones and I put it out there. It's going to last for years, hopefully, right? So I replaced them, and it only costs you like $1 versus going to the pool store and paying $30,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
In one of the things I designed recently, so we did some backyard renovations recently, right? And one of the things I did was I ran one of the lines from the sprinkler system into the pool, right? So that I can, through the Amazon lady and everything, I can tell her to fill up the pool, right? And it will turn it on and top up the water in my pool. Well, I designed the end for that. So it goes into my skimmer. So it's totally hidden, but I designed an end that, like goes down into the skimmer,
Ah,
forces the water down, that I can also remove so I can take out the basket. But on top of that, I added mounts for other devices. So now I mount the pool temperature sensor on
oh,
that device in the pool. And I also mount what's the other device I have in there? See, I haven't even looked in there in so while because it's been working great, right?
nice,
But I
nice.
mounted a couple devices in there and they actually sit on that, and it's all, I designed all that, right? So those are the type of things I do.
When you think about how you design that, what are you using to design it? Are you cobbling some things together in a design pattern, or are you doing it from scratch?
At first, I would just take other people's designs, but
Okay.
now I'm using like Tinkercad. The other thing was the pool level sensor, so it would detect the level of the water. That was the other
Mhm,
thing I mounted in there.
mhm.
But like when I see something now, sometimes I'll go on like printables.com where people post prints, and I'll say, did anyone design this? Right. And if they did, more than likely I have to tweak it for what I want, right? Or if I want to design something, I may look for something that has the right thread that was already done and rip it out of their design and put it in mine, so I don't have to redesign the threads,
Right. Wow.
right? And stuff
Wow.
like that. So I put it all together like that. And yeah, I have a pair of calipers, so I do all my measurements, and I
Wow.
do the nice designs, and I've got it pretty good now, right? And even when I'm designing, I do small prints. So if I'm designing a part, I don't print the whole thing. I'll just print that little piece to see how it fits together,
Okay.
right? And then I can print that in 15 minutes, test it out, make sure everything lines up, and then once that's done, then I know the whole thing
That's
will work
pretty
out.
cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, the design part has always been, I know you can download plans and do other things, but that's always been what stopped me. That and the price. You
You'll be
cannot.
surprised. People design
I
everything. I know the
know.
price is a
I
big thing,
know.
but people
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
everything. You can go out there and find usually a lot of things out there, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to remember. We had Dave McCabe on 6 months ago, and he had gotten
yes.
into 3D printing. Do you remember the brand that he? There's another brand, right?
Crealty, I think it was. Was that the one he had? Or there was a Bamboo Labs, I think it
Bamboo.
was.
That's
That's
right.
the one he
That's
has,
right. Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's another competitor in that space,
Yeah.
right? Of a little more expensive, but it kind of does its thing.
Yes.
I noticed on the website for the Prussia that it the one of their sales points is we're constantly updating this.
Yep.
Is it helpful? I mean, is it helpful that they're running firmware updates? Are they making improvements that are helpful?
It's bigger than just firmware updates. It's the whole printer is like pretty much 3D printed. So they've
Oh,
actually
oh,
updated parts of it,
oh, wow.
right? So on one of my printers, I had
Oh,
an issue with the filament sensor. So I went on
yeah,
their GitHub and they had to redesign the actual filament sensor. So I printed out a new filament sensor, pulled apart my extruder and put it in, and it fixed the problem that they noticed people were having. So they were actually,
crazy.
this printer I got was totally disassembled. It took me a day or two to put it all together. I took my time. I learned it inside out. So now when something goes wrong, I'm very comfortable to pull whatever pieces apart, adjust things, put it back together, and I'm good to go again. And I highly recommend, if you get a 3D printer, like I recommend Prusa because they are like that. Like you can self like maintain them,
That's
fix them
crazy.
yourselves,
Yeah,
everything like that. Where Bamboo Labs they're pretty, they look nice, but to do certain things, you have to remove many screws. It's not as easy, but they're more self-contained, right?
right. Prusa. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yes.
Prusa. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. You know, you think about almost like a self-healing the 3D printer. Like, oh, hey, we shipped this thing with this part, but we really meant this
Yeah.
part. That's kind of cool.
Or they just
Mm.
over time they find, oh, this part wears more. We redesigned it so it doesn't wear as much, right? Or
Yeah.
if I've had parts that have broken, I just order the part for it and pull it all apart and put it back in myself, and then we're back in business, right?
Right.
Like it's that
Right.
easy with the Prusa.
Yeah. Yeah. And their community pretty active as far as
Very active.
okay. Okay.
There's Facebook groups for everything with Prusa, like specific to models or just Prusa in general, fan groups, printables, whatever. They have a huge community, their forums, their Reddit, pretty much too big.
As far as like traffic, trying to keep up with everything. Is
Yeah,
that
sometimes it's tough to keep up with everything, but some of my favorite ones are the functional prints, and these are people that print things that, to fix something, or like it's not just printing a character or something like that, it's something you'll actually use, right? So I like watching those functional prints to get ideas.
okay? Well, we'll have to keep up with you on that. It sounds like that's going to be, you know, you talked about printing parts for your pool, but I also saw in the show notes. Wait a minute. So you ran your sprinklers, you ran a line from your sprinklers
Yeah.
into the pool so
Yeah.
that you could fill it up automatically. I'm assuming. What was the why'd you do that?
Well, when you have a pool, the water evaporates, or
Right.
you lose water, right? And the
The
levels
rain though
drop,
has been
right?
adding level. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I've actually this year I've had to drain the pool
Yeah.
multiple times, but in
Yeah.
previous years you would lose water and then you'd have to top up the pool. So I have a water level sensor in the skimmer. So
Yeah.
basically if it drops below a certain point, it will turn off my pump. Right? It's a safety thing because that has happened to me before.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, let me address this. And then I have the water level, the sprinkler. So when we were redoing the backyard, I told my irrigation guy, run one line into the pool, and that way, zone 8 is my pool,
Oh,
right? And I could tell Amazon lady, turn on the pool, water or whatever I
if it
need to.
gets down to this
Yeah,
level, turn it on. When it gets
I
to this level, turn it off.
yeah, I don't automate it like that
Okay.
because it's dangerous,
Okay.
right? But
Right.
it's good to know what the level is. The level's good. Usually I have it set up so it only will run for maybe 20 minutes and then I have to restart it again, just out of safety, because if it never turns off, you could be in more trouble than
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so now I don't have to drag out the hose, and it's actually faster than when I had the hose, and it's so easy, and it's hidden because I have it run right into the skimmer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. As you say dangerous, as I was thinking, I did purchase a Casa outdoor plug for the shed.
Yep.
And I'd had one before, but I moved it out front when we moved the Christmas lights out there. And the whole idea was be able to say to the A lady, turn on shed power. And then I'd leave the air conditioner on. And in theory, from the house, I could turn it on an hour or two ahead of time when it gets really hot to cool the shed down before we go out for a, for a candle, light a candle out there. And I also thought, like, what if that goes awry, or I forget, or it turns on by itself? How would I check how would I know that the air is just running? Because it could run for a week.
Yeah.
Under the worst case scenario, it could be running air conditioner into the shed. I'm not there. I'm really only there on Sundays for the most part. So yeah, you're right. You got to kind of think through, like, could this thing run away on me? And with water, it does not. I remember when we had a pool, it does not take long
Yeah.
to start running up your water bill. Is water fairly expensive for you, in your opinion, where in your location, or
Um,
is it fairly inexpensive?
I don't know, because it's not my smallest bill, it's not my biggest bill, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's one of those bills that come every 4 months, so when it does come, it hits you. And if you yeah, we get a
That's
water bill
weird.
it's a weird thing.
That
We get
is
every 4
weird.
months. So if you had a leak in your house, that
Yeah.
leak could be running for 4
Yeah.
months and you wouldn't
Yeah.
even know, right? And people have complained, of a toilet leak running up their bill. So it's not cheap though, because we're paying for I don't even know what it's called. They have like fees for water delivery. They have fees for water return. It's like,
Mhm.
what are all these fees? So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
racks up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's why we got rid of the pool. I was just like, I'm not getting any value out of it for what I do. TJ says we get our bill every 4 months as well, but we prepay it with the bill, so it doesn't hit all at one time. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're monthly. We have MUD, our provider. It's a monthly. I think the garbage is included with it too, which is kind of weird. It's utilities, right? That's just the it's just the way it works. You've always been on here. We're going to do a little bit of a lightning round. You've always been here talking about moisture sensors for your lawn. Have those paid off for you recently?
You know what? I haven't I haven't watered my lawn this year at all. We've had so much rain. It seems like
Yeah,
every day was
your
rain.
fault. It's
And
your fault.
yeah, it's significant rain, like, so the only thing I've been watering my lawn is I was fixing some dead spots, so I had to water for new seed and stuff. But other than that, I have not had to put water sensors. I have not had to do anything with my lawn. It's green, it's growing, and every time you think it's like hot, we get hit with some storm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, they're still. I have them sitting next to me, like they're actually on my desk. I meant to go put them out there, but it's like I
Yeah,
don't need
yeah,
them right now.
yeah. We too. It's been very wet here in the Midwest, here in the U.S., and my grass is green. In fact, it's over. I should have mowed it yesterday, and I
Me
didn't. I'll
too.
probably mow it tomorrow. We got some storms coming in this weekend, so very wet. If I'd have last time we chatted, if I would have gone out and bought a bunch of sensors, uh, they wouldn't have done anything for me. And I don't have irrigation anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I've kind of got to the point I'm figuring out these cycles of the lawn where
Yeah.
you're like, It'll be okay. It'll recover just fine." And then you mentioned you grabbed a new Amazon Echo Spot, and
Yes.
I hadn't heard of those before. Tell me about the Spot.
It's a new version. I have it right here on my
Okay,
desk,
hold
sitting
on. Let
here
me
next to me. If you,
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
I think isn't the Spot they had an older one too. It's basically I think it's meant for your bedside, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it has the clock, it has the reminders. You can play music on it. It will show nice little music. It's just an upgraded version, but it's really nice. This is my first Spot. It's really nice. I like having the clock on my desk on it. It's like I know I can look on my computer, but this also gives me the weather and everything. It's right in my face. Um, it's really fast and it sounds really good. Like I was surprised at the sound quality coming out of this little thing, but
yeah,
it's pretty good. And it was not that expensive for what you get. I mean, people are complaining about what it doesn't have, but those are also a lot of things you don't want it to have in your bedroom.
yeah.
Like you don't want a camera on it or
No,
anything like that,
no,
right?
no.
I'm gonna probably throw it in the guest room as like the clock in the guest room, and then they also have the A lady there.
Fairly
So
pricey though, right? I mean, those things aren't too cheap. It's not like they're the
um
$30 dots.
oh no, they're not, but they're
Yeah,
also significantly better than that $30 dot. And you can get it on sale. Just keep
okay.
watching for it to go on sale. Amazon products always go on sale.
Better
You know?
sound? Better
Much better sound than
okay,
the dots.
okay.
I also have the dots. This one's much better sound if you're gonna listen to music and stuff through it.
Yeah.
It's great for a room.
Yeah, the difference we have the dots, Sarah in our bedroom has the dot with the with the time on it, and then if you ask it for the temperature, it'll display
Yeah.
it'll display some of those kinds of things. One of the things I've noticed about the dots is, like, a lot of people use them for ambient sound, rain, thunderstorms, wind. And everybody complains that the rain sounds like sizzling bacon. They're like, "Well," so do you get you think, for maybe double the price, still under $100 for the most part. You here US anyways. You can get a pretty good uh spot that better sound, you think?
Yeah, this sound is significantly better. The whole
Okay.
setup process was really enjoyable. They put some effort into this one. I would recommend it if you're looking for, a replacement to an old dot or something like that, or just to get a new one. Grab the spot. But like I said, it's good for next to a bed. You know,
Yeah.
it also depends. If you want to get into the Matter ecosystem and stuff, you might not want this one. You might want to get one of the other ones. But
Other ones, when you say other ones, what do you mean by other
one
ones?
of the other Echo devices,
Oh,
right? Like, they
really?
have a whole bunch of them, and they all have some of them have, like they all have different features in them. I can't break it down off the top of my head, but in terms of this one, I like it.
Yeah, do I have the right one up on the screen?
Yes,
Is this
that's
what
it.
you're
That's the new one.
well,
Yep.
yeah, certainly the display is better, and it's kind of a hybrid between the square, the square screens that
Yep.
came on I think they're Echoes, and then the round or the globe-like dots.
Yes.
It's kind of a hybrid, right, between those 2?
Yep. It's a nice design. I mean, it looks nice on my desk.
Yeah,
Um, I don't like the power cable. I like the dots came with USB power cables. This one doesn't. It's an actual plug. So
built
you're
in?
kind of
Built
yeah.
into it? Okay,
You can detach it at the back, but it's one of those barrel connectors.
yeah,
So you're kind of stuck
yeah.
with their plug.
Well, it looks cool. It
It's
does.
nice.
Here's the thing, though. And Brian says we're close to picking one of those up. Um, I these things don't die. This is the thing. Like you're like, oh well, I'll replace it when it dies. They don't die.
You know.
They just keep going on and on. And we have one. We have one in just about every room. Sammy doesn't have one in her room, but we've got one in just about every room, and it's super convenient just to say, hey, do this or turn this on or turn that off or
Ask it
when
questions. It's
yeah,
really convenient, and the dot I believe comes with presence detection built in, so it uses, I guess, sound to detect somebody's in the room. So
okay,
if you use the Amazon, for your automations and stuff, you can utilize that. So when it detects you're in the room, it keeps the lights on, and as soon as you leave,
yeah,
it turns the light off. Stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
It's got cool features.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting space. I have not had any I actually have an extra whatever these are, that's right above me here, the one with the 5-inch screen. I guess it's just an Echo, right? I think that's what they call those things. And it's a 5-inch version. I have an extra one. So this one flickers, the screen flickers, and I'm
That's
like,
the
I could
Echo Show, I think,
a
right?
show. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. It's a 5-inch show. That's right.
yeah.
It's been flickering for I don't know, 2 years. It just won't die. I have an extra one sitting up on the shelf that came from my mother-in-law. She's not using it anymore. I'm like, well, I guess I'll replace it. Behind it is a Google Puck, whatever those things were called.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've talked about it. Obviously, I can't remember the names of any of these things.
I have one too, and I never use it. I only got it for
Yeah.
testing stuff,
Yeah.
and I just don't use the Google one.
Wanted to see how it would work down here, and I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't. It's out of sight, so it's out of mind for me.
Yep.
So just doesn't seem like it's it's that important anyway, important anymore. So yeah, it's some of those. Yeah, some of those integrations are interesting,
Yeah,
to say
it's
the least.
great. We use it a lot. The wife actually uses a lot too, right? Because I have it set up.
Oh, for
She
sure. Yeah.
does it for weather. She'll ask it,
Mhm.
the drive into work. It
Yeah.
will tell her, and then slowly she sees me do something with it, and then she's like, "Oh, I can ask it what the temperature in the pool is." So then she'll start asking it, and then she'll turn on the pump with it, and she learns it. She picks it up slowly, but she likes it. Now, when it doesn't work, I hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other day, the automation for my garage door opener to the A lady had broke, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe more, maybe 9 months ago. And she shouted out the other day, you know, "Hey lady, open the garage door." And I'm like, that doesn't work anymore. It
That's
doesn't
the
work.
worst feeling though, when you're like, "Oh, it's not gonna work."
But that's the first time, like, I don't know why it in 9 months we hadn't said that. You have to put a code in and some of those kinds of things to make it work. And we
Yeah.
just hadn't done it, but she just remembered it. You could do it at some point. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. So guess what Jim did? Jim went out there. Okay, why isn't this working? I needed to go into the app. The app had the authorization for the app had stopped.
I hate that.
And so I needed to go in and just connect it again. Gavin, last thing before we go, it says you've been playing around with integrating ChatGPT into your home assistant. I know that's been available. What's the
Yep.
best? Like, what are you using it for? I keep thinking, why? Why would you use ChatGPT? But what's the best of that on Home Assistant?
Well, the difference with using something like ChatGPT and using something like the Amazon lady, right? So the Amazon lady feels like more prompted questions. You kind of have to say, turn on this device, right? When you tie it into something like ChatGPT, you can ask it anything and it will figure out what you want. So
Oh,
you could ask it things such as turn on all the lights upstairs, and it would know based on the information like Home Assistant feeds to it, it would know what rooms the lights are in, and it will know those rooms are upstairs. And then it will, turn on all the lights upstairs. Like you didn't have to program all that stuff, but you can get like very specific with questions, and Home Assistant feeds it the information. It analyzes all the information and come back to you with answers, right? Like
really?
what's the average temperature in the house? And and it would take
Oh,
all the temperature sensors and then recalculate it and come back to you with the average temperature, but you didn't have to program that. It just knew how to
wow.
analyze that data. Or you can say, is there a cold spot in my house? And it would look at it and it would say, oh yeah, I can see this room is way below average. Maybe you want
Really?
to look at that. So when you start integrating things like that, your information, because it looks at the
Yeah.
data,
Yeah.
it will help you out significantly where you don't have to program this stuff anymore. You just feed it, here's all my sensors, all their values, and I want to know this, and it will
Yeah.
analyze it
Yeah.
and get back
Okay.
to you,
That
right?
that makes sense. It's good at summary. That's what it does really, really well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Mm.
That's just one example. I mean, it could get like my future state of this stuff is, it gets proactive in ways where it knows when you're leaving the house and says, hey, you forgot a window open.
Mhm.
Or it's about to rain, you have windows open, you might want to close them. Things like that, where you don't have to actually program these automations. It's
Yeah,
just smart enough to start doing this on its
yeah,
own, right?
yeah,
And that will, I think, when we get to that point, a lot of people will be adopted a lot more,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Where does that show up in Home Assistant? Where would I
So it's not in Home Assistant. I wouldn't say it's a mainstream thing yet. Like
okay,
you'd have to add, it's not easy. You'd have to add in a few integrations. It'll cost money because you have to pay for the API and stuff like that.
okay, okay,
And then you have to connect it in, and then it starts feeding data back and forth. And
okay,
so it's not mainstream yet, but it's something they're working towards.
yeah,
Right, so you can play with it if you really wanted to. You can Google, people have good instructions out there on how to integrate it and how much it will cost you and stuff like that. I was running up my bill pretty fast, so I had to stop playing with it so much, I think, because I had so much data that I was feeding
yeah,
it,
yeah.
that it eventually started to like, you gotta pay for this stuff. But they just released a cheaper model, GPT-4o Mini, which is significantly cheaper. So I'm gonna tie that in and start playing again, because if it's if it's gonna save me money, then but just having something there that I don't have to worry about prompts, I can just talk naturally to it, like just, hey, what's this? And I don't have to, worry, did I say that right? Is so much better.
Yeah. I wonder if you could dump some of your, you think about your different sensors in your house, temperatures by room, dump that into a spreadsheet, then feed that spreadsheet into the OpenAI version of ChatGPT, and wonder if that would give you, analyze this spreadsheet and tell me what rooms I might have cold spots in, so to speak.
Yeah, you could do that, but it's doing that automatically. So
Right.
when it sends the question over to ChatGPT, it's sending all the data with it, right? So then it knows everything at that time in your house, and it looks at it, analyzes, and comes back. There's the cold spot. There's your cold room.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to stay up to date. It's hard for now, which means I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
But
it's not ready for you yet.
yeah, maybe that'll get easier over time. I do, I have attached the Subaru login to it, and I have a page that gives me all the stats on the car, which is kind of cool. I use it mostly to see if it's locked at night before I go to bed. Check it, like, I make sure I lock the car at night. And then of course all the printer ink, all the battery statuses, all the switches, including shed power, which now I can just push it. So say it's 95 out there, which it was the other day. An hour ahead of time, I can just push it, or tell the A lady, hey, turn on the shed power.
And the one thing people don't realize is you could say turn on the power for 15 minutes, or you can actually say turn off the switch in 15 minutes.
Yes.
Or whatever, and let it handle it there. So a lot of people don't realize you could do that.
Or in 15 minutes, turn it on.
Yes, exactly.
And some of those kinds of things too. Yeah. It's super cool. As we think about hometech.fm, anything coming up you want to highlight? You got any? I know we talked about the beginning of the show, but anything else that's coming up?
No, other than the interviews and stuff, we do the show on a weekly basis. The three of us, Seth, TJ, myself, and we always have different new content. It's always on the spur of the moment a lot of the times, and we're gonna be talking here. I'm gonna talk about this on your show before you even talk about it on our show, because I just love this. But we were talking in our Slack channel where all our Patreons gonna invite to, right, about somebody took one of those finger bots and rigged it up to their toilet so they can flush the toilet. So we were laughing about it, and then one of the listeners in the chat, Jack, actually did it. He's like, no, I'm doing this now, right? And he went out and he rigged up a switchbot finger bot in his toilet so he can then tell the A lady to flush his toilet. And I was like, that's cool. But then then he started showing us the video and the footage of everything, and we found out it's a toilet, a human toilet, that his cat uses. Right? So he actually has a camera sitting there, and you saw his cat using the toilet. And then I'm just like, you got to take that to the next level and make it so when the cat leaves the toilet, it auto flushes on them, right? And that's the finger bot there on the screen. But it was one of those projects where you're just like, there's no real need for it, but it's fun to do because it's cool. It's a DIY type of thing, right?
All right, this finger bot is hilarious.
Yeah.
One of the examples, it's literally sitting over a switch.
Yep.
So if you don't want to replace the switch, or you can't replace the switch for whatever reason, you can put this finger bot on it, and it just pushes in. Is that it just pushes?
Yeah,
right?
it's what it is. It's like a finger. It just pushes, and then you can also have it so it sticks to it. So when it retracts the finger, it pulls it back up, right? And I can't remember. I think it was TJ that actually had it in his office garage where he put it on the garage door opener. And all it would do is actually press the garage door button when he told it to, right? And it's things like that. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But it's practical. You could see uses. You could have it push the button for your coffee maker if you wanted, or something like that.
Yeah. Bluetooth enabled, battery rechargeable.
Yep.
Listen, I've never heard of the finger bot. This is awesome. Like
It's one of those practical little devices, honestly. It's not the prettiest, but you could see it. You could see so many uses for it.
this cracks me up. Manual touch control available. So you can touch it so
So
it
it touches, yes. Yeah, you can touch it so it touches the button, you know?
it's
Yeah.
almost like a joke. It's just hilarious. 8 months of battery life. You can get Google and Amazon control over it. Works with regular home automation. It says high compatibility, retrofit 99% of existing buttons and switches.
I wanna
And
see that 1% it doesn't work with.
so what I'm assuming it's strong enough to be able to push the flush like my we have old school toilets that have the
The
handle that
handle,
you got
yeah.
yeah. But I'm assuming this is on one that's got one of the buttons that you push.
Well, to get into it a little deeper, they
Yeah.
actually open up the toilet. They put a little bridge across the back there, right? And they put the bot on that, and then
Oh,
they
okay.
they connect it to the flange. So when it retracts, it actually lifts up the flange, drains the water,
Oh my
and then it
god.
lets it go again, and it closes up. And it's something you have to look up if you've never seen that. Look it
Yeah.
up. It's funny because
Yeah.
it's like something you never expected, and they have attachments for it. That's the other funny part. So it has ring attachments, it has all sorts of things for it.
Yeah.
So you can
They have a finger bot pro kit,
yep,
right?
or the
And
master kit.
yeah. This is hilarious. I had no idea. Listen, if you wouldn't have been talking about this, I would have thought this was a joke. Like, you're just kind of like, seriously? Are you? But yeah, yeah, no, it's got that's hilarious. So it's connected to the toilet so the cat can use, and then does the cat push something to make
No,
it?
I'm trying. I want to convince them so that when the cat's done its thing and it gets off the toilet,
Yeah.
the finger back kicks in and flushes it, right?
Yeah.
But
What would
I
the
was
event
more
be? What would the event be that would
well,
trigger that?
in my house, I would use blue iris and say once they so when you detect a cat, all right, now wait for the cat to leave. When the cat leaves the image from on top of the toilet, then flush it.
Oh.
I know how I
You
could
have to
do
have
that
a
in blue
camera
iris.
in the bathroom then.
Well, this is the cat's bathroom, though. That's
Oh,
what
I
he
gotcha,
said.
I
He
gotcha.
goes, "This
Okay.
is the cat's toilet,"
I
right? So
gotcha.
that's why he had
Yeah.
that there,
Okay,
right? So
okay,
I'm just
that
like,
makes sense,
or
yeah.
you can get pressure sensors or something like that if you really want to rig up something. You can get more, advanced like that. But I was more amazed watching this cat use that toilet.
That's
I was
pretty
like,
yeah.
"Who
Well,
trained their cat?" I
yeah,
wish I could train my
yeah.
dog to use the toilet.
For sure, for sure,
You
that's
know?
just a lot better than changing the litter all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, this some of the you can upgrade appliances, they've got this one, schedule the coffee machine, so you
Yep.
can set that up. AC, pushing the button, for your to turn things on and off. This is hilarious. Gavin, you've
You'll
made
laugh
my
at it,
night.
but then you get
Yeah.
one and you're
No.
like, "Oh, man, I could put that on here." Like TJ in the chat says he
Yeah.
uses it to turn back on, his PC when the power goes out,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
smart idea. It's very
Right.
practical.
Right. Yeah. He also said he posted the link to the original flushing idea in the general chat
Yeah.
channel in Discord. So um, he said to Brian, because Brian asked him, considering using one to press my garage door. Guys, they make retrofitted garage door opener attachments that
No,
you
this one's
can
cool. Do it.
Mir-
The little
Mir-
robot pushing it.
Miros, that's the one I use. Miros makes a pretty good
Mhm.
retrofit for your garage door opener. So but how cool would it be to have this big block box sitting over your garage door opener? So you could yeah, it's another way to get it done. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's hilarious. Gavin, you made my evening by bringing in I had no idea the finger bot was going to be a thing and
There's
apparently
knockoff finger bots on AliExpress too. I didn't
oh, I'm
even it
sure.
was so popular, it got knocked off, so
Could you 3D print your own finger bot and out of a Raspberry
I
Pi or something?
3D printed attachments for it. I
Yeah.
needed something a little longer and I printed something out and I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, there you go."
Yeah. Well, there you go. The finger bot. available. Hey, and they're not even very expensive. The ones I'm looking at, $25. So
There's SwitchBot, yeah, makes them they're cheap.
yeah, yeah. So, well, Gavin, thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate you and appreciate your community. And TJ, we'll get you lined up to come back in as well. Update you on the house and all things going. Can you hang tight for me 1 second,
Oh
Gavin,
yeah, for
before I
sure.
close it up? Couple reminders on the way out. If you want to join our Discord group, is your Discord group an open group? Can folks, if they wanted to join that group, do they have to do any gyrations to get in there?
It's a Slack server, but I'm pretty we usually when Patreons, sign
Okay.
up and everything, they get
Yeah.
an automatic invite.
Got it.
But
Got it.
if you ask really nice, I'm sure we'll let
Okay.
you in.
Oh,
And we also have a Mastodon server at hometech.social.
okay.
Just sign up for that if you're looking to get onto Mastodon.
Yeah, this crowd is pretty friendly. So if you need further details, just head out to home tech, all one word, hometech.fm. And there'll be the details on how to get that done out there. If you want to join our Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord, leave a message, homegadgetgeeks.com. There's a little microphone button, 30-second message. If you want to just email me, Jim at theaverageguy.tv if you leave that message. And so I make sure I go out and get it. Though the averageguy.tv platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. You know that's Christian. Check it out today. Maple Grove Partners, all one word, maplegrovepartners.com. And he's got a bang up deal for you. I think his plans are still starting at $10. You're not going to find a better deal anywhere else. Check it out today. Gavin, before I go, one thing I will admit, we canceled HelloFresh. I know.
The wife was asking me about that this week.
Yeah.
She was because I couldn't take advantage of your discount code or
Yeah.
your offer, right?
Yeah.
But she was actually asking about it this week. She was like, "How good is it?"
It's good.
Yeah.
It's still really good. It's great deal. We're done. So you can still go sign up for it if you want it. But I think we did it for 6 years and it taught us how
How
to
to cook.
make great meals. It gave us some new recipes. And so we quit it just last week. And in the mail, I got like an ad like, hey, come back and you'll get, we'll give you $200. And I said, did you cancel the account to Sarah? She's like, yeah, I didn't want it, because you can delay and delay and delay and delay, but you got to go into the app to do that. And if you forget, they'll send you a box. She's like, no. So we're picking at the beginning of the week on Sunday, we pick all the meals. Mondays, she does the shopping. She'll prep it to the point of it being partially ready, and then I'll cook it when we do the meals. We kept the cards that they sent you, the recipe cards, and this week has been great. It's just like making HelloFresh, except it's all prepped by Sarah. It's Sarah Fresh, I guess, is what maybe what it should be called. But it's weird. I've been talking about HelloFresh for so long on this program, and still recommend it. It's great. It's just got a little expensive, with everything prices going up, and we just felt like we could maybe replace that ourselves. I was a little skeptical, but I think we're gonna get. I was just afraid it was gonna default to chaos, and so far so good. We've only been doing it a week or two, but um, if you're interested, again, I had an affiliate link out there, still on there. I think theaverageguy.tv/HelloFresh. That may still get you a discount, even though we're not out there. It won't do anything for me. But if you want to check it out, you can do that. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Next week, Mark Robson will be here. It'll be all grilling. I know Gavin will be listening because he's got 4 new meter probes that he needs to figure out what can I jam those things in. Right.
But I'm not a hardcore griller like those guys. I'm like maybe steaks and chicken, and
Yeah,
stuff
but
like that,
still.
right? But
No.
they're still great for that.
Oh yeah. Nope. Get your temperature, and Mark will be here. He'll have a lot of pictures, so you're gonna want to join us either live or on the video because he'll have a bunch of yummy stuff. Don't come hungry. It's like going shopping. Don't come hungry because when you're done, you will not. You will want to go eat something. So we'll see you back here next week. If you're listening live, hang tight for a little bit of a post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Did I show this? TJ said it worked well. He double sided taped and
Yep.
siliconed it.
It's still on the finger by.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
these HelloFresh meals look good. I'm getting hungry now. They have
Oh,
this
they
week
are.
they have smash burgers, pork and
Yeah.
sweet pepper tacos. Oh man.
Yeah. The we did a sweet chili burger. So you make an aioli sauce. So like it's mayonnaise based, but it's kind of spicy. And then you use red chili, like red chili sauce. And the two together are just dynamite. And then fried onions, the like you would get it just in a you can get them in a jar of fried onions. Those on top, oh my god, that makes just those three makes a great burger. And then we do this all the time with sweet potatoes, and we make sweet potato fries. And
Yeah.
that's I'm not going to say it's healthy because it's not, but it's healthier than some other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really have enjoyed our HelloFresh experience, and I have nothing but good things to say about them.
Well, price
It's just
doesn't
it was
look too
time to do
bad.
our no, 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 no.
Yeah.
It just had gotten for whatever reason, Sarah. One day, I mean, we'd done it forever, and we talked about doing this ourselves for the longest time. And one day, she just came. She said, "We're done. I'm going to do this from here on out." And so she does. She, like I said, she buys what we need on Monday and then puts it together Monday afternoon in the kit. She makes little kits for us, and then
Oh,
Sammy and
she's
I.
your HelloFresh. There you go.
She puts them together. Well, it's
Sarah
kind of
Fresh.
nice. It's Sarah Fresh. Yeah. It's kind of nice. She so far, we'll that's how will it sustain week over week after, week after week, but she likes doing it. And she puts them, it's funny, she puts them in little containers and, writes on the containers what they are, disposable stuff. I mean, listen, cooking when everything's measured out for you.
Is easier.
Oh my God.
When
It's
everything's
so awesome.
there, you don't have to search for it. It's like all the
It's
seasonings there and
it's
everything.
amazing. It's like
Yeah.
when they're cooking on TV and they're happy. You're
Yeah,
like, it's because it's all measured out for you,
yeah, just pour the
which
whole bowl
you can
in.
do, by the way. Listen,
Yeah,
you can do that when you're cooking. Just spend the first 10 minutes measuring everything out, putting it
yeah.
in bowls, and then you can do that. And a lot of folks just don't want to. And so it's tasty. We eat way better than we should. Like it's really we made like a kale, apple, carrot, with a special Dijon mustard salad. That and then we did bourbon brown sugar chicken. So it was like a bourbon brown sugar, you know, not a sauce, but a rub on top
Yes.
of that, and cook that in. And then I sliced up that meat and we put it in a salad bowl, and you had this chicken salad kind of, it was, I was like,
Wow.
yeah, some Riesling with it. I was like,
Making
man,
me hungry now.
we we are living good here. This is pretty,
Like, there's only 2 of us, but I'd probably go for, like, the 4 people
yeah,
plan still
yeah,
because then you get for lunch the next
yep,
day,
yep, yep,
that
yeah,
would be nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, try it. It's not, they have all these free, they're just trying to entice you in.
Yeah.
So take advantage of all the free things. Hold on, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Ah, thank you.
I'm
Take
gonna ask her if
advantage
she
of,
wants to try it. Yeah.
yeah, take advantage of all the free stuff. Have fun with it. Have fun with it, because it literally is the easiest cooking in the world. It's all measured out. You just packets, you just tear open and put in there. Anybody could do it.
Alright,
Anybody.
I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
Give it a try. And you're right. Go with the 4-person box, and then
Yep.
you've got some lunch portions. Um, when you're making it, resist the urge to take a 4-person box and make it a 2-person box, like,
Yes, I know what you mean.
because they're portioned out for you. And so to make sure. And then I always find, so when you're putting the plates, when you're plating it for the 2, just go ahead and have some storage containers ready to go. You can put it right in the storage containers, let it cool off before you put it in the fridge, and then
Yeah.
just go right in the fridge. Then they're ready for you if you got the right storage containers. they're portioned correctly and they're ready for you the next day. You can toss them in the microwave and
probably eat better than I do now.
might. Yeah, you might. Tastier. They're super tasty anyway. So, all right, live folks, thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate you guys. TJ, Brian, Tony, John was in here a little bit earlier. I know he took off. Joe, thanks for coming out. Ken was out here earlier. Good to see you. Jim Shoemaker, who was out here earlier. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week with John. By the way, Mark next week. It looks like the 1 inch is to 2.5 centimeters. So 2 inches, 5 centimeters. 4 inches, 10 centimeters. So I'm going to remember that 1 to 2.5. That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy math that I can do in my head pretty fast. So maybe 1 inch to 2.5 centimeters. Okay, I have to start practicing.
It's funny because like it depends on what you're talking about to what you're using, like what measurement you use. Like in water, I'll say millimeters, but when I'm talking about like wood sizes, I'll use inches. Right? Like it's weird. Like centimeters, I have no grasp of. Like if you could tell me 50 centimeters, I'm like, I don't know where that 50 centimeters is. But if you said 2 feet, I know 2 feet. Right? It's kind of like when you talk Fahrenheit, you say it's 80 degrees. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
And then I do the math and I'm like, 25 Celsius roughly. I'm like, okay. So
well, but it's just 100, right? So it'd be 1 inch to 250 millimeters.
Sure. I'll take your
500 millimeters.
1 inch is 25 millimeters.
25. Oh, it's 10, not 100. I did 100. It's 10. It's because it's millimeters, centimeters,
meters. What's 100 centimeters?
And that's 10 each time.
Yeah.
I don't know why we can't go to that system when I have to think of how many inches in a foot, how many feet in a yard.
When I talk, like I said, I know what 2 feet is, but then when I'm driving, I don't know what 100 miles is. I know my stuff in kilometers, right? So
like 62, 100 miles. Is that right? 100 miles.
At my age, I haven't figured it out yet. I'm not going to try to figure it out anymore.
So 10K, no, 100 kilometers. What did you say? 100 miles?
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. But I can't visually think of it. I'm like, where does 100 miles take me?
Or less.
Where I know 50 kilometers can take me across the city or something like that. So I'm like, it's the way I think.
I think of it because I ran so many 10Ks. That's 6.2 miles.
Yes.
So I always take, so how many, how many
5K is like 3.1 miles, I think, or 3.3. Yeah, 3.1 miles, I think was 5K.
Driving at 60 kilometers is 100 miles an hour. No, is that right?
Oh, that's a whole different world.
That's the other way around. It's the other way around. So driving 10 miles is 60. 60 miles an hour is 100 kilometers per hour. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So So Marv said I was having fun until you started doing math. Marv, thanks for coming out. We're not doing math very well, so I appreciate it.
We're
good to see you. And Brian says, take care, guys. Great show. Yeah, we're done here. Have a great evening, guys. We'll see you back here next week with Mark. And Gavin, hang tight for me 1 second. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.